How do I see who's here?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Russ, select the people list
Okay,
instead of chat.
I'm on the people list. People.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Randall?
You might have to
Okay.
scroll.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you. All right. Volume.
See where that goes. I see Keith, Stacy.
Hey, Russ.
Yep,
After the meeting, can you and Stacy and I stay on for just a minute?
I can.
Stacy, can you stay on? It'll just be like a minute or two.
Yeah, I probably 5 minutes is the best I can. I'm
Okay.
so sorry.
Promises. It will be like a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
How you doing, Mr. Randall?
I'm good, Joseph. How are you?
Hey, not as good as the Diamondbacks fans should be.
Man, Diamondbacks have not been playing well.
By the way, did you guys see that triple play last night, Mr. Randall?
Yeah, by those San Diego Padres. I saw that.
By the San Diego Padres.
I'm not a
Two
big
games.
Padres fan.
2-game lead.
All right.
Exciting.
Stacy, which commissioners do we have? We have Keith, Russ, Susan, Sarah, Rachel.
And
So
Laura will not be able to attend today. So we've got everybody here that needs to be here.
we don't have Michelle though, right?
Oh, I
Or do
thought I
we-
saw her. Hold on. I might have missed her. Nope, she has not joined yet either. My apologies.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start. I am calling the meeting to order at, I think, 11:04, right?
Yep.
That's what my clock is saying. And I'd like to welcome you all to today's meeting of the Commission on Inclusion and Adaptive Living. I am Russ Randall, and for today, I am still the chair of this commission. Our commission serves the disabled community of Flagstaff by working to expand educational and employment opportunities, by improving access to housing, public buildings, and transportation, by increasing participation in recreational, social, and cultural activities, and by expanding and strengthening rehabilitative programs and facilities. Stacy, would you go ahead and take the roll for us, please?
Chair Randall,
I am here.
Keith Becker,
Present. And Stacy, I'll try to come in person next time. You look awful lonely in that big room.
Sarah Dorman,
Present.
Michelle Eisenberg, Susan Purrington, and Vice Chair Simakonda,
Present.
Laura Smith. Okay, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Stacy. All commissioners should have their microphones on mute to keep the background noise out of the chat room. The chair of the meeting will ensure that everyone has an opportunity to speak if they would like. Commissioners should use the chat function to inform the chair they would like to make a statement, and/or you can raise your hand and somebody will help me find you. The chair will announce the commissioners to speak in the order they appear in the chat. And for this commission, we ask that when speaking, please turn on your camera in the interest of accessibility for all. Do we have any members of the public here today that would like to participate?
Not that have indicated so.
Okay, we're going to move on then and kind of move on to our discussion items. And we've been waiting breathlessly for our Metro Plan presentation, talking about vulnerable road users, a plan for them, and Walktober events. And I think we have Kim here today. So welcome.
Thank you all. Very happy to be here today. Give me just a minute to share my screen. All right. Are you seeing that okay?
I see it just fine.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you. And, as we're going through this presentation, please feel free to interrupt, ask any questions, although we will be, of course, taking questions at the end. And just so you know, because of sharing the screen, I can't see everybody. So, yeah, please feel free to interrupt. All right. Well, thank you again for having us today. My name is Mandia Gonzalez, and I'm a transportation planner at MetroPlan. And I also have Kim Austin with us.
Hello, I am the Transportation Demand Management Planner for MetroPlan.
Today we have two items for you. As mentioned, we're going to talk about our Vulnerable Road User Safety Action Plan and then our upcoming Walktober or Flagstaff walks. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off with our Vulnerable Road Users Plan. But before we jump fully into that, I do want to take a moment to celebrate the many transportation safety awards our region has obtained. So of course, first listed there is the Vulnerable Road Users Plan, which we'll talk about in a minute. We received $250,000 for that. There's $9 million for the Butler Avenue Complete Streets conversion that we assisted the city in obtaining. There's a $2.1 million Safe Streets Master Plan. This is a partnership between MetroPlan and the city of Flagstaff. This one's a really interesting planning process because it helps to create designs and engineering standards to include safety in future infrastructure projects. And then $800,000 for Coconino County's local road safety plan. So this is over $12 million that our region has received through what's called the Safe Streets and Roads for All federal grant. You might see it as SS4A. So we're super excited to have, these opportunities. And while it seems like, yes, there are a lot of plans happening, they are each very distinct and different and serve very different needs. But, throughout this process, we will be, of course, all working together, for efficiencies, sharing knowledge and data as we all move through these planning projects. All right, so moving into vulnerable road users. What exactly is a vulnerable road user? This is somebody who walks, bikes, rolls, essentially if you're outside of a car. And the reason that we're focusing transportation safety on our vulnerable road users is because they are disproportionately impacted. So ultimately, this plan, I'm sure some of you are familiar with the term Vision Zero. This plan is going to use those principles of Vision Zero and actually set a commitment by MetroPlan within a certain time frame to reach zero fatalities and zero serious injuries. So I'll just kind of go through this list on the right. Like I said, these are the principles that we will be applying to the VRU. So starting with number 1, we have traffic deaths and severe injuries are acknowledged to be preventable. 2, human life and health are prioritized within all aspects of the transportation system. 3, we acknowledge that human error is inevitable and transportation systems should be forgiving. 4, safety work should focus on system level changes above influencing individual behavior. And 5, speed is recognized and prioritized as the fundamental factor in crash severity. So taking these principles, we have an end goal for this vulnerable road users plan, and you may see the acronym VRU. That's what that is. So it's going to lay out an ambitious set of 2 to 5 year actions and projects to really help get things on the road fast that can help, prevent these incidents from happening. As you're aware, there's a lot of other plans out there, not including just, the safety plans that I listed previously, but MetroPlan has recently completed the Regional Transportation Safety Plan, which looks at vehicles as well as vulnerable road users. We have other plans that ADOT has conducted in the last 2 years, and a lot of those have already identified substantial infrastructure projects. And so we want to kind of look at this in a different way of, we have this list of prioritized big infrastructure projects. What are some things that we can do on the ground now to help support getting those funded in the future? So what does that mean? I'll show you an example here. So we're kind of looking more at that temporary or what we call pilot projects. And these are just some examples to kind of show you where it starts off in this temporary phase. So that top one is called a curb extension. And on the left, This one, they obviously changed the radius for cars turning, which helps to slow the vehicles down. It also gives a little bit more visuals to find pedestrians at those corners. And it also shortens the crosswalk length for those folks. So this is one example with the pretty polka dots and delineators. And then it can move into, when funding is available, something more robust, as the picture shown on the right. Another example is this temporary sidewalk and trail. This trail was part of or sidewalk, was part of a repaving project. They did not have the funds to complete a sidewalk itself, but they did go ahead and, extend that asphalt and put in a curb barrier there to protect folks and to delineate the spaces. And once again, as funding becomes available, we can move into a proper sidewalk treatment. So these are just some examples of the things that we'll be looking at to support those larger projects that have already been identified.
Mandia, can I ask you a question? This is
Oh,
Rachel.
of course, of course.
Can you go back to that slide for just a moment?
Sure.
So I love all of these ideas simply because I'm a vulnerable road user.
Mhm.
But my question is, are these modifications already approved through the council? And the reason that I ask that is because this commission had a bit of a problem with Grandview having rolled curbs.
Mhm.
So are these projects that you guys have in mind already approved through council?
Not fully approved yet. So if you are familiar with the Cheshire asphalt art project that we did
Yeah.
to slow traffic on Fremont Boulevard,
Yes.
that was kind of our first working with both the city and council members. And then, of course, our board, which is also made up of many council members and county board members as well. So there is excitement around it. Of course, part of this process is coordinating with our partners in how we can implement these temporary changes. And one of the good things, I mean, obviously, there's several good things about it, right? We're improving safety as quickly as possible and giving folks an option, but it also gives us two other really great things. One is gives us the chance to, try it out, ask you, in a few months or a year, hey, is this working for you? And if not, we can make adjustments as we seek funding. Also, several of these safety related funding sources through the federal government really encourage these temporary installations to support your grant application. It's a form of not only, trying out and piloting, but it's showcasing the community as well, like our involvement with the community. So kind of back to your question, it's not fully fleshed out yet. This is part of the whole planning process as well. Because of that excitement and acceptance for the Cheshire project, we feel that we can make some way with our partners.
How can, and I'm probably going to come back to this question a lot as you go through, but how can this commission become a partner with you all to push this through?
Excellent question. So I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the presentation. This presentation is essentially a primer. So we're just now getting into the planning process, but I wanted to share this with you in advance. That way it doesn't sneak up on you in the future. And hopefully, you all can be excited about this project as much as we are. So I think there's two elements for the commission. One, as we get a little bit more into the data and begin to see trends, we would certainly love your feedback on if this is correct, especially for folks who are not as mobile as others. And additionally, I think through those conversations, we can look towards you to help support these temporary projects or even full, infrastructure projects in the future through advocating through council, other staff as well. And, we certainly would love for the commission to show up at Metro Plan's executive board too. I think that would show a lot of support from the community. But we'll get further into that once we get a schedule going.
Awesome. Thanks, Mandy. I appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you. All right. So why are we doing this? of the top 20 most deadly states for people walking, Arizona ranks number 5. So we've got some work to do. And I know when we think about pedestrian incidents, we probably think that, oh yeah, they happen in more urban settings. But that graph on the right shows you, that 28% of the fatal crashes involve a pedestrian just here in Flagstaff. So, we're hopeful to change these numbers. These are not statistics. These are people. These are our friends, our family, our neighbors. So we're looking forward to doing that work with everybody to help reduce these crashes and hopefully as a state improve our ratings, or not be on the rating board, I should say. All right, so here's an update of where we are in the planning process. Like I mentioned, we're just kind of getting things rolling here, really diving deep into the data analysis part, which is looking at crash analysis. We're looking at equity and doing an internal policy review to see if there's changes that we can make at Metro Plan that encourage our partners to prioritize transportation safety. We've also moved into best practices review or literature review that looks at a variety of options such as engineering design, complete streets, equity reporting, etc. And we just actually finished our public involvement plan, and that's located on our website. And if you're interested, I can definitely share that with you in the chat or via email in a little bit. And I wanted to share this example with you because, I mentioned there's a lot of plans that have already happened relating to safety, and then there's several on its way. So this is a demonstration of the public comments we received through the Regional Transportation Safety Plan. So on the left, all those little dots indicate an accident or a crash has happened. Red shows that a fatality has happened. We want to take the public comments that we received from the Regional Transportation Plan and overlaid those onto these crash data, because we want to see, where those comments land. Are there things that you're seeing that the crash data isn't capturing? Is it perception of safety and comfort, etc.? So this is a new tool that we just put together. We're still reviewing the comments related to the crash areas as well. But this just gives us a more robust idea of what the public's concerns are in these areas as they relate to these crashes. All right, well, before I pass it on to Kim to talk about Flagstaff walks, I just want to see if there's any more questions or comments out there.
I do have another one, Mendia. This is Rachel.
Yes.
Do the accidents that you've shown, does that take into account train accidents as well?
That is a good question. And in some cases, yes, but not fully. So we are digging as much as we can through the, oh my gosh, forgot the name of the agency. But anyways, looking at train crashes. Unfortunately, that data is not readily available. And the data that we have found just describes folks as trespassing. And it typically shows them not at an intersection a lot of times. So we're still trying to find a good source for that information that's a little bit more robust than what is reported in the regular police report.
Okay. I just think that's kind of important because here we are this morning sitting in a commission meeting and there's been another fatality with a train.
Yes,
So,
exactly. I know it's
Thank you.
yeah, certainly doing our best to try and find that data, but it's a little hard to do, but we'll certainly look to our partners to see if they have any further information that we can't get out of the government.
Thanks, Mandy. I appreciate you.
No problem.
Nadia, this is Russ. I have a question for you too.
Yes.
So the diagram that showed where actually the actual fatalities occurred,
Mhm.
those are all fatalities, including pedestrian fatalities.
My apologies. So this map on the left is a combination of injuries and fatalities. So
Okay.
the bright red indicates a fatality, and this is data from 2017 to 2023, and it is only bicyclists and pedestrians.
I see.
Yes.
So, and 28%, do you have I know 28% of all fatalities involve a pedestrian, but do you have a number rather than a percent?
Not quite yet. So that statistic was taken out of our regional transportation safety plan, which was adopted earlier this year. We're still working through the data on our end with the updated data and information that we have. So that number and percentage will probably change.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
But yeah, and certainly, like I said, happy to report back once we get a little bit further into the data and certainly get feedback from you all. All right, well, I'm going to pass it over to Kim now.
Switch up. Okay. Hello, thank you so much for having us today. I just wanted to update the commission on Flagstaff walks. I think, there we go. We have a history. Flagstaff walks began with Jack Welch in the Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And he was instrumental in leading a lot of walks, and he was very inclusive of all people, especially seniors. So I wanted to bring this really wonderful event back into the fold. Number one, to honor Jack Welch. Number two, celebrate walking in Flagstaff because the fall is such a beautiful time of year. Third is to encourage a week without driving. Some people never drive, right? And some people make a choice to drive and try to use multimodal transportation, and we want to encourage that. And then lastly, to raise awareness to pedestrian issues, including accessibility. So I put together a week of walks, and it starts on Sunday. So the Sunday, the 29th, the Jaywalkers, which is the walkers that it used to be Jack's Walkers. I don't know, there were so many different names, but now they're called the Jaywalkers. Sadly, Jack Welch passed away, and so his walking crew has continued. This walk is probably not as accessible as the other ones. It's in the forest, but I wanted to include it because he was instrumental, and he's the reason that I'm bringing this back. But so that's the 29th. Next Monday, the 30th, we're having a transit walk. And we're going to meet at the Adult Center and about 9 o'clock. And we're going to take the bus, the number 5 bus, to Cheshire. And we're just going to walk around. We're going to look at the project, the Cheshire project, maybe talk about the road changes, and maybe talk about accessibility, maybe whatever kind of we decide to do while we're out there, because we have an hour before we catch the next bus back to town. This is an accessible walk, as we will be using Mountain Line Transit and sidewalks. Let's see, Tuesday, the 1st, Freaky Foot Tours is hosting a mural walk. And again, this is accessible because we're just going to be using, the infrastructure that's out there already. We'll be meeting at 5:15 at the Orpheum, and I'm not sure. I'm assuming that they're going to walk around, see murals, and give us a history of those. Wednesday, October 2nd is International Walk to School Day. Some of the elementary schools are encouraging their students to walk and bike to school. So we're kind of calling it walk and roll, to school day. Anyway, and so just be aware that there may be a lot of kids out walking and biking for sure on Wednesday. Thursday the 3rd, Freaky Foot Tours graciously is sponsoring another walk, and it's the Spooky Ghost Tour Walk. And we're meeting on the south side of the tracks at 16 West Mike's Pike. And I don't know what this entails, but they're going to take it over for us. And then mostly what I'm here to talk about is an accessibility walk. And so originally the idea was that we would leave from the disability fair at NAU. But while I started thinking about it, that's a little much. So I wanted to get your feedback on whether Friday the 4th would be a good day or Sunday the 6th. And I have 2 walk options. Oh, never mind. Let me go this way first.
Kim, can I interrupt just a minute? It's Rachel. I have a podcast friend who is actually coming up on the 5th on Saturday, because we thought that the accessibility walk audit was going to be right after the Disability Resource Fair. And so he's coming up to do an audit walk on Saturday.
Oh, he is. Okay. You didn't think that's going to be too much? Because we sort of thought that would be a little much for everyone being at the fair all day and then going for a walk. No?
You know, I think that we could do it one of 2 ways. Either we walk from High Country and meet down at like Heritage Square and have lunch, or we meet downtown, walk around downtown, and then have lunch or something. So I guess it would depend on if people want to do the length of High Country to downtown, or if they just want to do downtown. But he's coming to video. I've got some amputee friends that are coming up from Phoenix that want to, and there are different levels of ability. And he's coming to actually film that so that we can bring it back to the commission and then hopefully to city council.
Okay. So you wanted to have it at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Is that correct?
Sarah, I know you've got your hand raised, but Sarah, the fair is from 10 to 2. Am I correct?
That's correct. That's why I think it could be a really great addition to the fair and not too much. I think it could like kind of change the flow of when people come. Like certain people are going to want to come maybe in the morning because it's not like you come and you stay all day.
Agreed.
But if there's an event even after, it might like draw more people to that time frame in the resource fair as well. Just think it could
Agreed.
be a really good.
And Susan has said in the chat that it's also been advertised to NAU students. Susan and I are guest speakers at a gender and women studies class that will be talking about disability justice. And that professor has put it out to her students. And knowing Susan, she has put it out to her students as well.
Okay, well then that's what we'll do. We'll plan on a 2 o'clock walk. Let me show you. I had put together some walk options really quick in case for those on the call that don't know what an accessibility walk is. The goals of this walk, in my opinion, and everyone has their own opinion, but I think the goal should be understanding everyone's lived experience, identifying infrastructure needs and opportunities in walkable areas, right? The good and the bad, let's highlight it all. Identify what is working and maybe what isn't, and also understand everyone's comfort levels and safety levels. Okay, so that would be my goal for this walk. We can absolutely change the idea. I was thinking about parking, right? Because parking could be an issue. We could start near a transit location as well, but these are 2 walks that I thought we could potentially do, but again, I'm open to whatever we want. Both of them are starting from the DCC just because there is a little bit more parking available.
Can you tell us what DCC is?
Downtown Connection Center
Gotcha.
on Phoenix. That's the transit center for Mountain Line. I apologize. Thank you for asking. So the thought is just walking around the south side of the tracks. One of the infrastructure pieces that I wanted to highlight is the crossing at Humphreys, the pedestrian crossing at Humphreys. It's on both. We don't have to do that because there are a lot of other places north of the tracks that also have areas of concern that we need to discuss. I do know that the Butler Road is going to be some infrastructure. They're going to there'll be some infrastructure changes on Butler, so that would be a topic that we could discuss. We could discuss downtown walkability. I'm open. So what is the commission, what's the feedback on this?
Sarah and
Sorry.
Susan, I think the three of
She's
us
not
have been
sharing.
really doing a lot with this. What do you guys think? I personally like the idea of either the south side or downtown because this commission and the sidewalk working group that we have is eventually going to look at both of those places. And so, Keith, what do you think?
Well, I don't know either one of those areas really well. So I'm okay with any of them, to be honest with you. I mean, I have walked through those areas at times, but usually it's only about once a year when I'm putting out flyers for picking in the pines. So, but I think the idea is great. I don't, oh, the dates are up top there, huh? Okay,
It's
so,
October 5th, Keith.
yeah,
Yeah, disregard the dates on the screen.
okay,
Just don't
okay.
look at them anymore.
Okay. October 5th, which is a Saturday, I'm assuming. Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It, another
I would
thought,
love to be there.
another thought. So is everyone being given free parking at the Drury High Country Conference Center for this event?
I
Yes.
believe so.
Yes.
Okay, so then we could start from there then, since that way nobody has to move a vehicle, if that works for everyone. And so we could do something similar, just the start and end will be at the High Country Conference Center instead. But what are your thoughts on that?
So Susan put something in the chat. It says, depending on turnout, can we do both? So we could split, and people that wanted to do downtown can do downtown, and people that wanted to do south side could do south side. I think that's a wonderful idea if we can get the turnout.
And Sarah, I saw your hand was up.
I have a meeting this week with the planning committee for the resource fair, and I can send out an email really fast just to make sure that the parking, how long afterwards, if it's an all day thing. I don't want people to get dinged for parking. Like, we do have free parking, but I don't know like the parameters of that for the resource fair, because technically we're there 10 to 2, and I don't know if they're going to be militant about it after 2 p.m. So let me check into that. I'm sure I'm being overcautious, but I'd rather be overcautious with parking in an AU than under under concerned.
Stacy, I do have a question for you. Stacy Salzberg. I know that we now, because we're hybrid, we can get commissioner parking. Would it be available to us on that Saturday, if we came in and got those?
I'd have to look into that. I think so. It would also depend on if we have any events in that parking lot that day, but I'd have to look into it. I can get an answer for you.
Okay, because my thought is anybody that wants to do the downtown, we can start from the library, go to Heritage Square and come back. And then the commissioners, we can encourage people to either ride with commissioners so that it's free parking there, or they can, I don't know, pay to park in that parking lot.
Go ahead. Oh,
I had a thought, but Mandy
I
has
have
a thought too.
Thank you for letting me
I
interrupt.
think we should not.
No, I think we can totally start it from High Country. I think one of the questions we'll need to figure out internally is our capacity to lead 2 walks.
Yeah.
I will say this does feed into the Vulnerable Road User Safety Action Plan. So the work that you're doing on this is going to inform that, which is great. As part of the Vulnerable Road User Safety Plan, we are going to target our historically disadvantaged areas. And one of those is the south side of the tracks. So I think that internally, assuming that we could only do one, we'd probably target that area just because it's efficient for both, learning your needs and hopefully impacting accessibility on that side within one of our equity areas. But that's what I got. I'll hand it back to Kim.
Either Kim or Mandia, if we did just south side, where would we would start at High Country, and then where would we go to?
So I think that's kind of up to you guys between the walk options that are here. I think our biggest question is the amount or the miles that are listed at the bottom. Is that a comfortable amount? Or are there concerns? Because we can certainly, adjust. I'm
Absolutely.
for Kim. I'm sorry.
No.
Certainly adjust.
I'm open to all options. I'm going to echo Mandia. I don't know our capacity, so I feel like one walk might be beneficial. I also love the fact that we'll be in a big group, and so we're visible, and I kind of like that, seeing a whole bunch of people walking. Everyone's like, what are they doing? And I don't know, I enjoy like everyone's like, oh, there's people, slow down. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I like that idea. I will say, if you do want to have 2 walks, we'd have to think about the timing. So if the fair at High Country ends at 2:00, do we have a break? Do we just go roll right into it at 2:00, just meet when everyone's there, head out, and just kind of wing it, knowing we'll follow one of these 2 walk options? Or if there was 2 walks, does one of them start at a different time to allow for, moving from the High Country Conference Center to another place to park? Or, there's just a few logistics that in my head, it could go either way. That's all. And I'm open to whatever, seriously.
Sure. And this is Russ. I'm going to have to kind of move us along on our agenda, but I think we all have an understanding that the walk is going to happen on October 5th. And I think at least one of the walks is going to start at High Country, somewhere close to 2:00, right? And then perhaps I'm going to let you all figure out the details. And when those details are figured out, if you could email those to Stacy, Stacy will get those out to the rest of the commission.
Kim and Mandia, why don't we set up a Teams call or a Zoom call with me, Sarah, and maybe Keith, and I know I'm missing a few people, but why don't we set that up in the next couple of days so that we can figure it out? And then, because, Susan, not Susan, Sarah is actually the person that's helping the majority of putting this on. So maybe all of us can figure that out, and then, like Russ said, get it to Stacy, and then we can get it to the commissioners. Because Sarah had a good point that we would like to do a bit of promotion on this beforehand.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that.
And then Sarah, you're going to check with the High Country folks with regards to extending that free parking beyond 2:00. And you'll be able to let folks.
Yeah. I'm going to ask and see what that looks like, you know, for our attendees and what the parameters are and limitations, and then I'll
Sure.
let you guys know.
And Stacy, Salzberg did put in the chat that there will be no parking at City Hall because of Oktoberfest.
Right. Right. Okay, folks, we do have to move on. Thank you two ladies for joining us today. We
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
Yes,
we
thank you.
appreciate
Thank you.
you to talking about vulnerable walking populations and all that, and then the walk day. So excellent. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your help.
Excellent. Do we have Stephen Thompson with us today?
So Stephen had something come up unexpectedly. The first part of this meeting, he said he will try to join the second half if he's still got time to provide an update.
Stephen's hand is
Oh.
up, though.
He did join. Sorry, I didn't think I would see him until afternoon. Sorry.
No worries, all good. Stephen, it's your show.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. The other thing ended early, so I'm here early. So thank you for having me. And for my update today is going to be very brief for the Snow Hero program, which last year we had 20 residents sign up and be matched with snow heroes to help clear sidewalks during the winter months after snowfall. And I'm waiting to hear back from the people who signed up as snow heroes, the people to go out and clear sidewalks of ice and snow, as well as the residents who were receiving that service. I sent out a survey to them to find out how can we improve the program? What other opportunities exist? And once I receive those survey results, I will be incorporating any adjustments that I can or we can within the program. I'm planning on going to City Council in November to provide an update on the program and any changes to it.
Stephen, do you see the program expanding this year?
I think the only expansion we'll see is an increase in number of residents requesting service and matching with Snow Heroes. I don't foresee it expanding to other opportunities beyond sidewalk clearing at this point in time. However, I'll wait to see the survey results before making any adjustments there. And I'm still working with our legal team to figure out a way to have the Snow Heroes be considered formal volunteers with the city. That is something that I'm working on with our legal team to see what we can make happen, because there are concerns of expanding the opportunity beyond like the public sidewalk to potentially clearing the sidewalk that goes from the public access to someone's home or those front steps. So still working on that.
Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Rachel.
So Stephen, this is Russ. So is the Snow Heroes program still considered a pilot program?
So last year was the pilot year. This coming year, it won't be considered a pilot anymore because it's after the first year. We're just it's just going to be considered an evolving program.
Okay. And then I know last year, as far as the residents or the consumers of the program, they were limited to folks who had already requested assistance with regards to berm removal. But is that requirement going to disappear and it's open to other folks as well?
Thank you for that question, Russ. Yes, it's going to open up to any resident within the city of Flagstaff. We will be working to match the residents who have requested that other service and give them priority because they've already requested this other service and have shown a need. However, it will be open to residents who meet the other criteria.
Stephen, in talking about the criteria, is there a focus on differently abled people and senior citizens?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And Stephen, I heard you say that you're working with the legal department to see if the volunteers can work beyond the public sidewalks.
yes. Yeah, that is an ongoing conversation, and based on other models of similar programs, whether it's Snow Heroes, Snow Angels, Snow Buddies, those are all different programs that can be found in Colorado, Pennsylvania, Iowa, Kansas, and we used a lot of those existing programs as a model for this one. And many of those other programs do offer that increased assistance to go beyond just the public sidewalk, and trying to find out how they were able to do it and address any of the liability concerns of volunteers going onto private property.
Sure. And Stephen, do you have an idea at all when that might be clarified, or?
I won't estimate a guess
Okay.
at this time. Yeah, I'll provide any updates as they come.
I appreciate that. And we understand that these legal things can be kind of complicated sometimes, but yeah. Stephen, do you have other information to share with us, or?
I want to say something really quick, Russ. Sorry, Stephen. I'm going to give a shout out to Stephen and his team because, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, October 27th is the materials drop off again on King Street. And so I'll be putting more information out about that, Stephen. I kind of have acquired your thing that you put out on social media, and I'm kind of sending it to everybody I know. So shout out to Stephen and his team for that.
Thank you for that, Rachel. And Russ, I don't really have anything other to add at this point, other than I dropped in the chat the link to the Snow Hero program webpage that has the specifications on different requirements and signing up. I will be launching the start of the program for this year in early November to request people to sign up as Snow Heroes, or for residents to request the service, so we can start matching hopefully before the first significant snowfall. I know that the peaks were dusted this past weekend, and parts of the community were covered in hail for a little while. So trying to get this started as soon as possible with any changes. And yeah, on October 26th is the drop-off day event.
Excellent. Commissioners, does anybody have any questions for Stephen? Stephen, thank you. You know, there was a need, and I think this commission talked to the city and to the council about the need, and Stephen, you are filling that need, and that's wonderful to see happen. So thank you so much.
Russ, I do see Susan.
Go ahead, yeah.
I see Susan's hand up.
Yeah. Go ahead, Susan.
Thanks, Stephen. I am at students who do have requirements for service and experience doing different things with different people. So if you have any materials at all about how students can sign up for that, please send it to me directly at my susan.purrington email. That'd be great.
Will do. I am typing up an email right now. You'll have it by noon.
Excellent. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today, Stephen.
Of course. Thank you all so much.
And then next up, we have discussion about pedestrian walkways and signaling devices. And I know we have Martin with us, and I think we also have Jeff with us.
We do, along with our city engineer, Paul Mood. Did I miss anybody on that list?
That's the three of us today. Hi, I'm Jeff Bowman. I've been here before, but it's been quite a while. Martin is here as well. He'll probably jump on here in a minute. We're going to kind of tag team this discussion a bit. At least I wasn't totally sure on background about what you wanted to talk about, but I know we have a bunch of experience between Martin and I, and we can definitely jump into a number of topics. I do have a presentation that we gave to the Transportation Commission a few years ago about accessible pedestrian signals, which I think is one of the items specifically on agenda today. So I was thinking I would run through that and then stop me anytime you'd like. It's a little bit dated, so there may be a couple of older references in the presentation, but it's still good current information. So if that's okay, I was just going to jump into that presentation.
That works, Jeff.
All right. Here we go. You can see it now, it looks like?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned, we gave this presentation as we were exploring installing accessible pedestrian signals in the city of Flagstaff on our traffic signals. The city, I think we have a map here later, but about 2/3 of the signals in Flagstaff are on city streets and about a third are on ADOT routes. The ADOT routes are Milton Road and West 66 essentially. And then 180 through the downtown area has a couple of signals as well. All the other streets generally are city controlled, so this presentation would generally apply to city streets. I know ADOT has also been doing some APS installations, but I'm not totally familiar with how they're prioritizing and how they're working through that process. So again, this is really city street specific. So everyone's familiar with the setup at a traffic signal. A couple of pictures. These are dated. So this shows the older configuration at Aspen and Humphreys with a standard push button. It's now been upgraded to an APS if anyone's been here at City Hall lately. So why do we use accessible pedestrian signals? Well, we have lots of users that can't see the button, can't see the signal, and can't read the street name signs. So those are just a couple of the reasons why APS signals are a good aid and good solution for those locations. Again, 2010 ADA standard reference, I think that may be dated now, but here's some of the information that's out there nationally. And the bottom bullet is the really important one. New and altered facilities must be accessible even without adopted national standards. You'll see the direction we are going with new and altered signals here as I move along. So early devices, you probably remember hearing the cuckoos and chirps at traffic signals in cities that were experimenting with this a long time ago, probably 20 years ago. These first started showing up, maybe even a little bit longer ago. But in one direction, right, it would be cuckoo, the other would be chirp. But really, I don't think was ever any standardization. So in one city, you'd see north-south cuckoo, and the other city, it'd be east-west. It'd be a little bit confusing, as I understand. Yeah, hard to distinguish directions. The experimentations, you can see were actually external speakers thrown on the top of the PED signals. They didn't have, the newer devices, the sound comes from the push button, which is much more helpful than the sound coming from the pedestrian head up above. They were on every cycle and had a constant volume. There was a lot of complaints about these devices. And so cities paused with experimentation on those early cuckoos and chirps. Oh, and street not identified. Missed one more bullet. And the street not identified, the newest devices now, of course, have an audible message that says, the walk light is on for crossing 4th Street or whatever it may be. Here's a picture of a current device. And let's see, we got some bullets to talk about some of the highlights of that. So locator tone, and those are adjustable by the agencies to kind of match ambient temperature, ambient sound, and they can be adjusted to actually adjust with ambient sound so they get quieter at night and louder during the day when there's more noise. So they have a locator tone, so you can find them. Tactile indication of direction, that just means this arrow is on the face of the push button, so by touching that button which direction you're calling the signal for. Button vibrates to confirm the call is registered. Usually has a beep, often has a light as well. You can see the light is usually right here, and often there's a beep also with a confirmation tone, and may be set to activate with extended push. So that is something a little more advanced with some of our newer traffic signals that we can actually do, but I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. But it's essentially if you need more time than a standard crossing time, you extend your push think for it's 2 to 3 seconds, and you'll get a longer walk interval. So that it's really nice to be able to run those longer walk intervals for large groups of people or people that need more time, and then run a shorter, more efficient interval when it's not needed. And there you go, volume adjust with background sound level. I got ahead of my bullets.
Jeff, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
2 questions, actually. This is Rachel, by the way. What is done for visually disabled people?
So what parts of this device are for visually? Yeah.
Correct.
So the locator tone is one of the pieces. So you should be able to hear the locator tone so that you can find where the push button is without being able to see it. The tactile indication, so it tells you what direction you're headed. There's also the audible feedback that'll beep and vibrate, so you don't need to see that to know that the button has been turned on. And then on the second set, there's the verbal information, so we can program them different ways, but often it'll say, wait to cross Butler, or the signal is now, I can't remember if it says green or it's now walk indication. There's different messages, but it'll tell you that it's time to start crossing. Let's keep going.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. And then the other thing is, and I'm really old, but in all of the years that I've used crosswalks, I never knew that the cuckoo was one direction and the chirp was the other. So how will you educate walkers or vulnerable VRUs? How will you educate those people as to different things that these are now doing? Like the longer push is what came to mind for me.
The longer pushes. So the cuckoos and all that went away because it was confusing. They were loud. The sound wasn't coming from the button, so it didn't help you find the button. There was it was just a first try at doing better at these head signals. So cuckoos, and that's all gone away, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. All of these now have an audible message that tells you what street you're crossing or what street you're waiting to cross. So you don't have to worry about cuckoos anymore. Sorry, I got carried away. What was the second part of your question?
The second question was, how do you educate users? For instance, the push button. How would I, being in a wheelchair, know that if I push that button longer, that I'm going to get a longer crossing time?
I believe we don't have any of these yet, and so I'm not intimately familiar with them. I believe the sign tells you. That's one. I don't know if the APS also tells you, but I believe it does. So I believe if you push the button, it'll let you know there's an extended. The audible message will let you know. How do we educate people that that's available? There'll be a sign, but if you can't see or read the sign, I'm not sure actually how we're going to get that message out. We don't have any of these yet, so it's not something I've worked all the way through, but I'm guessing someone has worked through this. I'm sorry, I don't know that exact answer.
So I would ask that you guys try and figure that out before you start buying these, simply because we have a commissioner whose partner is visually disabled. And when we did a crosswalk audit last October, I think, she actually dropped her cane and needed that longer time. But if she could not hear and she would have to read a sign, then she wouldn't know that she needed to push that. And so bending over is putting her in a very vulnerable position because even a regular sedan could not see her.
Yes, we'll definitely spend some time with this before we implement any extended pushes, and this has been out for a little while nationally, so I'm guessing there's pretty good guidance on how to get the message out to people.
Okay.
But it's something we spend quite a bit of time exploring these things before we implement them.
Okay.
So yeah, I appreciate that feedback.
I would appreciate also knowing what you guys find out.
Sure.
Just simply so that this commission knows.
We can definitely do that. This would be a great spot to spread the word when we get one of these figured out and installed. You can add it to one of your walk tours. Be a cool new thing to check out.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it.
No problem. So here's just a couple more highlights of these devices. Again, the verbal information, there's Braille on the sign or on the push button, tones consistent with all approaches, so no more cuckoos, all that business. And then this is something that we don't have any of these, but again, that's out there. Cross the information via smartphone. We don't have any of these, so again, I don't know kind of the intimate details of how that works, but obviously there would be an app, and you would know that at certain intersections you could use your phone to communicate, not to make calls instead of pushing the button, but it would tell you status. I'm not aware of anyone using that yet, but I know it's out there. Here's this maybe I should have gone sooner, but here's a video. I don't know if I hit share with my sound, so let me know, Stacy, if it's no sound, and then I'll try again.
Okay. No sound. Yep, unfortunately, it didn't come across with sound, Jeff.
I think I just need to reshare if that's okay. Let me just do that real quick. Share. There's a button, include sound. Oh, it won't let me include sound.
Oh, bummer.
Okay, no big deal. Okay, so this was just a little video of what it looks like and sounds like at one of these intersections, and you could hear the locator tone, you could hear the push button, and it beeps when it takes the call, and then it tells you it's now safe, or it's now time to cross Brown Road. That's where this video was taken in Mesa. So before we had any of these locally. But I won't go through that because it's not as exciting without the sound. Flagstaff accessible pedestrian signals. This is out at, let's see, let's keep going. Flagstaff signals with APS. This is just a picture of Butler and Babbitt. This is not actually APS, but just a nice picture and to throw up on the screen. So here's the two that we have installed today, 4th Street at Solier and 4th Street at Sparrow. And the reason we installed them there is because they were rebuilds. When we did the 4th Street bridge over I-40 here a couple of years ago, we were working on these two signals as we widened that road. And we installed APS, full APS there at all the different crossings. So if you're interested in checking these out, this would be a place to go out and just see how they work. I'm not familiar with all the ADOT locations, but I know the signal right outside of City Hall at Aspen and Humphreys has this type of device. Probably Birch does as well. Actually, and I know 66 and Humphreys does as well. So ADOT's been replacing things as they go through doing maintenance and rebuilds with their signals. I put Highway 89 and Smoke Rise on here because that's a signal that we have. It's an existing signal, does not have APS, it's actually missing a crosswalk. It has all sorts of problems. And we are in process of redesigning that signal and hopefully rebuilding it next summer, and we'll install the APS equipment there. And this is generally what we're doing. All new signals and all rebuilt signals, we include APS infrastructure. Again, and this is kind of ADA and ADA policy. There's currently no mandate to retrofit if not being altered. Desirable, they're obviously very desirable. This is older information, 15,000 from several years ago. It's probably still roughly in that range. So we're in the range of $1 million citywide if we were to do some updates. They take some programming and they definitely have more maintenance than typical push buttons. There's just a lot more there. It's not just a button anymore. It has sound, has lights and all sorts of things. So they tend to not be as resilient to kids with skateboards whacking them and just the elements and different things. But let's see, I think I have one more. Oh, this is a good picture. This is a picture of the signal system. Orange is generally city signals and green is the ADOT signals. Again, this is a little dated, but it's mostly accurate. We also would take requests. If there was a request, we could find a way to find the 15,000 or so to get the equipment and do the install. We haven't had any requests, but maybe people don't really know. If we had priorities, probably the downtown area would be a good area to do some updates near NAU. 4th Street corridor is always popular because of high pedestrian activity. And we know ADOT has done a few And are there others? This was the kind of question we asked to the Transportation Commission, and it would be a good question for this group as well. I can pause here. You want to have any
Marketplace and
discussion?
89.
Ah,
Marketplace and 89. There is an accident, if not 3 accidents there every single day.
And I believe that NAU actually does have some APS. They do. But then I guess, so I guess what I heard you say, Jeff, is that ADOT has been installing a lot of APS devices within the city, but the city of Flagstaff really has not.
yeah, I'm aware of ADOT installing 3 here in the downtown area.
Mhm. But not the city of Flagstaff.
No, right now we have been doing rebuilds and new signals. We haven't been going out and changing out existing infrastructure that's still functioning with APS signals. We've just been going through as we're doing these major rebuilds and new signals. So that's correct.
But so far, just 2, right?
Yep, 2 with a 3rd under design. That's correct.
Mhm. And it really is a budget item issue.
There isn't a dedicated funding source through the city that we can scrape together 15,000 if there's a request or a high priority location. I guess a good question to you. I mean, do you know of any grant opportunities or anything of that nature? We'd certainly be, that's good leveraging for us to chase grants to do things like this. And there could be things out there. I'm not aware of them, but there definitely could be.
And I guess maybe that would be a good question for you, Martin. Are you aware of any grants?
Potentially. When just a second ago when you were talking about that, I was kind of running through my inventory of grants. We can check. There may be one coming up. I really don't know. It's kind of a shot in the dark, but we can check. It's called Reconnecting Communities. We'll look into it.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Martin or Jeff?
Russ, I've got a question here.
I would suggest maybe talking to the Northern Arizona Mobility Council about grant opportunities. I know that there is quite a bit of funding at the federal level. I used to help administer a 5310 grant. There may even be some opportunities under that umbrella, but I'm unsure. And the people at NAPTA can be highly knowledgeable in funding sources as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so for those of you that have been around long enough, we did not used to have countdown pedestrian signals, and we were able to get, I wrote a little grant application and we were able to get a grant for that upgrade across the city. So, and those, last a long time. That's been a really good thing. There may be something out there. We can take a look.
And I'm going to make a comment as the chair, but because I don't see any hands up, but we just heard from the Metro Plan folks about vulnerable road users, and 28% of fatalities involve pedestrians. That seems like a big number to me. And then, I know that like Salt Lake City had APS signals 20 years ago when I visited through there with a friend of mine who was visually impaired. So I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that our city does not. And perhaps it has not been the same priority for the city of Flagstaff as it has been for other cities. Literally, as we see pictures in your PowerPoint of Mesa has made it a priority to have those at some of their intersections. And I know Chandler does as well, because I frequently walk through Chandler, but not the city of Flagstaff.
I'm gonna say Sarah Dorman put into the chat that maybe Safe Streets and Roads for All is a good grant opportunity.
Well, that's all I had for APS. I appreciate the feedback. We can provide some follow-up on a couple of these items for sure.
Thank you for that, Jeff.
Sure.
We did have another topic of discussion relative to pedestrian walkways, and that would be, has the city considered not allowing rights on red for any of its major intersections?
Yeah, I don't know if that's me or Martin. It hasn't come up as an item that we've been working on, though I think it's something that we hear about, that people may be interested in. We hear about it in kind of a safety campaign function. Most cities that implement some sort of right turn on red restrictions go through a process, to figure out where we have a lot of pedestrian volumes, maybe where we have pedestrian crashes, impacts to signal timing and impacts to just operations of the road. We have not gone through that exercise to kind of sort out what a reasonable policy would be for Flagstaff. Also, cities do, all day, time of day. They try to, sometimes they do like a downtown zone. Sometimes they just do isolated intersections. It's not something that we have worked through. I think it's something that could be part of this master planning and engineering standards updates that Kim mentioned. It may be on Martin's list already. I'm not sure for that exercise, but we have some consultant resources coming up with that program. So that's probably a really good spot to put it in as a placeholder to work through. But no, it has not hit the work program. We're fairly bare bones trying to keep the systems running, as you can tell.
Martin, do you have anything to add to that?
Not much. I think Jeff mentions a good possibility. We between MetroPlan working on the vulnerable users study and the Safe Streets for All grant money for Safe Streets Master Plan for the city. I think we have the opportunity to get some outside consulting help to help work through some of these questions. Right turns on red would certainly be one of them that we can go through. Like we know, for example, like by looking at our crash data, that significant number of bicycle crashes involve right turning vehicles. So that may be indicative of some need to at least consider how right turns on red are done. But yeah, just to reiterate, I think that we have some opportunities coming up. We have a lot of kind of detailed questions like that that would be beneficial for the community to get answered, and I think we have an opportunity coming up to do that.
And then I will say that Kim from MetroPlan put into chat the SS4A grant does not specifically address accessible traffic controls as a standalone project. However, with transportation safety projects, they could be included and implemented as part of the final design, but it would be specific to that project location and not the city as a whole.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Jeff or Martin from the commissioners? And this is Russ, just speaking kind of as an individual, but I know other cities in the state of Arizona have done extensive work on outlawing right turns on red. And like Jeff was saying, like certain times of day in certain parts of the city and that. I'm not sure exactly how that all process happened. As someone who's always lived in Flagstaff, but I know that has happened in other cities. So Jeff and Martin, is there something that this commission could do to kind of assist the process along, both with the accessible pedestrian systems, as well as with the discussion about right turns on red?
I'll give kind of a generic answer. I think you heard we heard the presentation from MetroPlan on their vulnerable users study that's coming up. We have a handful of kind of planning projects and studies that are going to be underway. So I think that your engagement in those processes and kind of remaining in touch with them and participating in them is the place to start. I think that's where we get everything kind of out, identify where we have opportunities. Hopefully, not much time passes before we go from having thoughts and ideas and a plan to actual implementation and building things on the ground. But at least to start it, I think our engagement in those processes is a good place to start.
Okay, sounds good. Jeff and Martin, thanks for being with us today and for sharing your information. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Always a pleasure, Chair Randall.
I do my best to make it pleasurable. All right, next up, talking a little bit about October Disability Awareness Month. And Stacy, I don't know, is the mayor with us today?
She is.
And Mayor, welcome. Good to have you with us.
Hello.
And I know last month we talked about a proclamation from the mayor's office about Disability Awareness Month, and I think that's in the works, right, Miss Mayor?
If I could step in real quick for the mayor, I actually had this on my list to chat about. We are happy to do a proclamation. I was running into a couple of different things. We had Disability Pride Month, which we proclaimed in July, and then, but I don't actually have a Disability Awareness Month proclamation for October. I wanted to see if anyone on this commission had access to one that they were aware of. We just didn't have one. We have a National Disability Employment Awareness Proclamation for October, but nothing that was specific to Disability Awareness Month.
Chair Randall is very eloquent at his letters, so I bet you he could put one together. You're welcome, Russ.
And actually, in fact, I think we did it last year too, right? But maybe not.
We did.
I can certainly look in my stuff too, and if I don't find something, I can have one to you by like tomorrow.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so that's all good. So we don't have to have an action item. We don't have to have a motion on that, right, Stacy? We're good at that. All right.
Yep. If you can just provide me with what you might find, I'll work with Sean, Mayor's Chief of Staff, to get that put together.
Excellent. And thanks for that, folks. That's kind of important to us. Sarah, do you have anything else to share with us about the Disability Resource Fair?
Nope, we're moving full steam ahead. We're super excited, Mayor Daggett, that you will make an appearance, hopefully, at the Resource Fair. I know our committee was very excited in the planning stages that you were going to be able to join us. I do have an interview on CAF. I can't remember exactly which station. I think it's the 93.5 station. It'll be next Monday, 8 o'clock in the morning, just to kind of put out some more information. So any place that you can spread the word, we would really appreciate it. I know we sent out the flyers I think Stacy sent them out to everybody. So just really, we're in that final push to get those people in the door and access to these great resources in Northern Arizona, to our Northern Arizona community. So we're just very excited. Have some great raffle prizes. One of them is a foursome out to the golf course in Williams. So just kind of pulling in some of those things and just putting on the final touches. So we're excited to have you guys there.
Great. I am having 50 copies of a tenant's Bill of Rights as it pertains to service animals made to have at our booth. And then I've also asked Human Resources to get us some materials about positions that are open in the city of Flagstaff.
Excellent. Very good. Thanks for that, Mayor. And Sarah, and thanks for this is a big deal. And I know you've been working on it for a long time. So thanks for doing it, Sarah. It's an awesome thing to happen for the folks of our community. So thank you.
We are super excited. I thank you for that. I can't wait.
And Rachel, you have a flyer that's going to be at the resource fair too, right?
Well, Keith and I still have to get together, but yeah, we will.
Okay, excellent.
And then I'm going to have on our table, on our commission table, Stacy and Sean Johnson are working on trying to get us, what is it called? Something that says our commission so that we can put it on the table, around the table. And then I have a bunch of stuff that's going on the table about recruiting for the police department and all kinds of stuff like that. Susan will be with me at the table. I hope Keith will make an appearance. And so I've just got a myriad of stuff that's going to be out on our table, connecting everything to the city and employment for disabled people, that sort of thing.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything to add with regards to Disability Awareness Month? And I think we're good on that then. Next up, let's move on to our action items. And y'all can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Excellent. And you know, Stacy, I forgot to add to the agenda the approval of the minutes from the last month's meeting.
It wasn't actually on the agenda this week.
So
I'm working on them.
No, that's fine. For next month, we'll have both months, right? So
Yeah, we'll probably have a couple of months to be approved.
excellent. All right, thank you, Stacy. And I just didn't even see that it wasn't there. So
Yeah, no worries.
But thanks. Next up, let's talk about let's hear back from our therapeutic working group discussion. Our working group. So I guess that's Stacy or Sarah and Susan and Rachel, right?
Not me.
Sarah, I believe.
All right. Yeah, Sarah and I took the lead focusing on therapeutic recreation. So as part of the agenda notes, a draft letter was provided. This letter is a combination of several commission meetings plus some of our offline conversations via email about wording. So this is a draft for us to discuss further. And my apologies, I have my 3-year-old talking behind me. If you hear him. Elliot.
So cute.
So I don't know if we want to go through the letter again. What I did is I enhanced the letter with providing 2 definitions. And I think that is a key piece for the City Council to understand what therapeutic recreation is, and under the umbrella of therapeutic recreation is inclusive recreation. And so I can share my screen. Sorry, somewhere in here, there's share. I had it and then disappeared on me. Okay, can you see the letter?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to make it bigger here. Okay. And so pretty much the language is pretty much stayed the same. I added in who the members were of the informal working group, just to bring the attention to the City Council of who was involved in these conversations since April. And then provided the 2 definitions. So the American Therapeutic Recreation Association's definition of therapeutic recreation and the National Recreation and Park Association's definition of inclusive recreation. And so just for everyone on this this commission to understand, therapeutic recreation is a broad field in which people are engaging in recreation activities as a way, or what we call as a means, to improving their quality of health in the 5 main social, cognitive, physical, emotional, and spiritual domains. The inclusive recreation aspect is underneath that therapeutic recreation umbrella. And inclusive recreation is people with and without disabilities participating equally in recreation opportunities. So that means providing adaptive equipment for public open skating times, or having times that during, say, the rock climbing wall at the Aquaplex, there is adaptive equipment available, and there's staff who know how to use that equipment, so that at any point, at any open recreation time, somebody would be able to participate freely and equally to everyone else. There's other terms, special recreation. It pretty much indicates that separate recreation services for individuals with disabilities are provided together. So that, like, disabilities are oftentimes paired together for, say, a wheelchair basketball or a a social event for people with intellectual disabilities. So they create a separate whole calendar of events and programming for people with disabilities. I personally am an advocate for inclusive recreation and therapeutic recreation, which is why I brought to the table the conversation to start with. So just adding in that extra context. So then, based on the recommendations, we organize them into, again, short, mid, and long-term actions. And nothing really has changed within here except for the two items that we identified the last meeting, which was to develop an inclusive trail identification system for FUOTS. How do you say it? Butts?
Foots.
Foots. Okay, Foots Trail. Sorry. I'm fairly new, so I'm still getting all the terminology and how people pronounce things here. So the foots that cover elements such as accessibility, energy expenditure, and other identified inclusion markers. And then the second one there, to create an inclusive practices policy for organizations applying for event permits with explicit expectations for accessibility and inclusion with guidelines for enforcement. So those were the two additions after our conversations. And that's pretty much where the letter is at. So at this point, it's a 3-page letter instead of 2. And we are ready to finalize and move forward with the letter.
And thanks for that, Susan, and thanks for the letter. I know it's a lot of work, and to all the members of the working group, a lot of work involved. I would have one question, or maybe a couple questions with regards to the letter, and that has to do with short-term goal number 2.
Okay.
And then, and you can see the next item on our agenda for our meeting today is the discussion about a potential City of Flagstaff inclusion and accessibility coordinator. So as a commission, and this is really a question for all the commissioners, are we going to ask the city to consider appointing a inclusion coordinator or certified therapeutic recreation specialist for pros, or one for the entire city? And I'm not really sure what we're asking.
Yeah, in this particular item, it says and or pros or the city or both to encourage more inclusive lens to the entire city practices. However, we're talking about recreation, and so the primary goal would be to really support the pros department in having someone who's the qualified provider, which is the certified therapeutic recreation specialist, be that coordinator, or at least have some coordination duties within other recreational support the whole entire pros department. It's a big task just for one department, which then could lead to either having that separate inclusion coordinator for the entire city, because that's a whole nother aspect of job duties. That those are 2 full-time positions easily.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think too. And then I think it was that last meeting or the meeting before last, Stacy let us know that the city really doesn't have anyone who does that now, and that maybe individual departments have one or two people who are kind of looking out for that, but nothing very formally. Rachel, go ahead.
I don't know that I have anything to add for that.
Oh, Rachel, I saw your speaker thing showed me that you, but that's good. Other commissioners, thoughts, comments, questions?
Hi, this is Keith. I think it would be a great thing for the city to have either one person that just focuses on that, or if, money wise or whatever, if they could find somebody or a couple of people in the higher up positions that would include that as part of their what they do, you know. I don't know how it would work either way, but I like it. And I think it'd be a great thing for the city to do is to get somebody that is specifically for that. But again, if they can't afford it, or, whatever the case may be, they may be able to find some other leaders that could learn about it and then use it in their departments and help focus the city along those lines.
And I actually, in the letter, did provide some insight into how some of this funding could be found. So the Arizona at Work organization does have an incumbent employee work training program where they will provide up to 90% reimbursement back to an organization to pay for specific training for individuals that are already in the workplace who want to either advance their career and they need a certain skill set, or to fill a need in the in the organization. So I think that would be an excellent opportunity for individuals who are already working and have expressed interest in either becoming a certified therapeutic recreation specialist or looking at that inclusion coordinator kind of role and really understanding Americans with Disabilities Act, universal design, and get the skill set needed through training programs to take on that level of responsibility. Compared to hiring a brand new person, a whole new line in the budget for that role. So that kind of is a stopgap idea.
I love when we offer solutions to potential problems, and I love that that's in there because especially when it comes to financial problems, we all know how that goes. So I thank you for putting that in.
Okay,
My
so
background as a recreational therapist, I'm solution oriented.
well, and Susan, we appreciate your expertise as a recreational therapist as well. So, what do you think is best, Susan? Should we leave the letter the way it is, or should we separate out the idea of a citywide inclusion coordinator from someone specifically working with pros?
I mean, I see the benefit of having both. Sarah, why don't you respond?
I think leaving it in this particular letter as it is, I think is the way to go at this point in time. Because we are focusing on the recreation piece, doesn't mean that we don't look for it later. I think it's also, instead of looking at it citywide, we're kind of showing the solution in a smaller space, even though it's a big ask. And I think it just kind of goes back to giving that value to that space and in that particular area, and then that can be seen as a value add to the organization as a whole. So I like it as it is personally.
Sure. And Rachel?
Sorry. I think I'm in agreement with Sarah that we should leave it as is because it will give, like she said, it will give opportunity for a little bit of change if it needs to be on either the commission side or the council side when it's presented. So that's my thought.
Any other thoughts or questions or discussion from the commission members? Well, then this is an action item. Oh, I have one other question too, Susan. And that has to do with short-term goal number 5. And I'm just wondering if we could add where it says adapt existing pros programs, events, trails, playgrounds, and facilities. Could we add in there perhaps including hours of operation or something as such?
Yeah, I could add some examples of what adaptations would look like. So that could be both in equipment, staff knowledge, hours of operation, changing rules of operation. There's several things that could be done. So I could add in a few of those examples.
And I would appreciate that. And you know, for me, I would really like to see like the Hal Jensen Rec Center open on a Saturday when kids could actually access it. And same thing with the other city health and recreation sites as well. And I know it might be problematic for staffing and all that kind of stuff, but I think it would really enhance the accessibility of those sites.
So are we not voting on this today to push forward then?
I think we can, if we vote on it as amended, right, yep. Stacy?
Correct.
Can we go ahead and do that then? Can I make a motion that we vote for it?
As amended.
As amended.
So it has been moved to approve this letter to be sent to the council as amended. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second that.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I did just update that statement in the letter. So if you want me to read it, I can read it out loud for everyone.
That would be excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so short-term goal number 5 would be to adapt to existing pros programs. For example, ice skating, rock climbing, rec sports, group fitness classes, events, trails, playgrounds, and facilities. For example, Aquaplex, J Lively, Montoya Center, and Youth Center to be more inclusive and accessible, such as hours of operation, adaptive equipment, staff training, etc.
Thank you, Susan. So it has been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion, commissioners? Seeing no more discussion, all those in favor of the motion to approve this letter and to have it sent to the council, please say aye.
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 Is there any opposition or abstention? This motion passes unanimously. Susan and other members of the working group, thank you so much for your work on this. We appreciate it. And I think it will make a difference in our community. So thank you.
You're welcome. Stacy, am I sending this letter to you?
Yes, if you could send it to me, I'll get a date put on it and I'll send it out to the council by the end of the week.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then really our next action item was a discussion about the potential of the City of Flagstaff Inclusion and Accessibility Coordinator. I think we have kind of discussed that. And unless any of the commissioners really want to have more discussion about that today, I'm going to close discussion on that, but I'm going to have preference with regards to that will be a further discussion item at a commission meeting. Is that acceptable to all the commissioners?
Yeah.
Everybody's good with that? Yeah. If you don't, okay. And then next up, our next action item is possible action regarding waive on-demand transportation in Flagstaff. And I think that will probably be you, Rachel, right?
That will be Lorena and I.
Right.
Lorena, you want to start?
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Chair. And I wanted to just update everyone. I'm not quite sure on just to clarify that as a transportation liaison, Mountain Light is happy to provide support for the data. For a discussion that we had our last CIL meeting regarding a presentation to City Council. And so I wanted to start this conversation with finding out a little bit more, Russ, if in fact the wave action item will be on October's City Council agenda.
And that's really kind of, if our action item is to approve a presentation to be presented to the city council. And if that's approved, then Stacy, how soon could that be put on a city council agenda?
So I have tentatively scheduled it for October 8th. We thought that that would go hand in hand with some of the October being Disability Awareness Month. So yes, it is tentatively scheduled for the 8th of October. We just need to keep in mind kind of timing on that presentation.
Lorena, do you have the presentation done? Because in talking to Jamie, it's likely that he will not be able to attend a city council meeting because of work obligations, but he asked me to step in, and so I need to know for paratransit transportation.
Sure. So I'm happy to provide the data and send you. I have about 2 slides created now, and I'm working on a third. And so as far as the act of presenting, I can only provide the data. So I have that compiled, and I was kind of waiting on the confirmation if that was going to be on the agenda. So I'm happy to continue working on that data and provide those slides to whoever is going to represent CL for that specific presentation. But just to be clear, I won't be a part of the actual presentation. And so we just want to help provide that data and working towards the larger CIL initiative, which of course is getting that proclamation with council. So we can work offline, Rachel, and make sure that you're comfortable with the slides that I can provide some of the data that we've discussed at our WAVE meetings. And just to move forward, as far as the update, we do have our next WAVE meeting is scheduled for this Friday, so we can work through some of these nuances that are probably best to be discussed offline. But to provide the WAVE update, we are currently printing some flyers and preparing to be at the booth with MetroPlan EA at the NAU Disability Resource Fair. And we're continuing to explore other nonprofit opportunities, continuing to build relationships. One thing that I did want to check in about, Rachel, with you is, did you have a chance at all to reach out to KNAU or the Daily Sun regarding a future interview with potentially you, Jamie, or anyone in the community that would want to kind of talk about this WAVE need?
I did, and we kind of have just been waiting to see what happens. So, yeah, okay. I have contacted both of them, and KNAU seems to be more interested in it. And so great. As soon as we know something, we'll push that forward.
Okay, well, as the group can probably identify, we do have some nuances to work through at our next WAVE meeting this coming Friday. And certainly I will be happy to get those slides over to you, and we can discuss if that looks like a solid ask and that you're ready to present. Of course, I believe, Stacy, you said it was going to be on the 8th of October.
8th of October. I will need presentation materials by the 2nd of October. Okay. So that's next Wednesday.
Okay, I'm happy to put that together and then work directly with Rachel. And then Rachel, you'll have that information in order to get it over to Stacy, or if you need me to send it to Stacy, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, and the other thing is I would like to have some paper things to put out on the back table for City Council so that people can look at them and take them.
Absolutely. I will have extras at the Disability Resource Fair, and so I will keep you in mind and you can take a group of them.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go ahead and set paratransit up just so that I'm available that day.
For the Disability Resource Fair?
No for city council on the 8th.
Okay, great. And we'll work offline to make sure we get those materials to Stacy in time.
Sweet, thank you.
And then if I can just add really quick, just in terms of preparing for that presentation, in the interest of time and making sure we get everybody on the agenda on the 8th, heard, we need to limit that presentation to no more than 10 minutes.
I suspect it's going to take about, what, 5 minutes, Lorena? And then questions if there's questions.
Great.
Sure, yeah. And like I said, right now I currently have 2 slides with mostly data and information that we've helped collect, for this proclamation. And so, yeah, I think that it's going to be bulleted, quick 2 slides. So I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Awesome. Thank you.
Did anyone else have any other questions on that?
Stacy, do we need to actually vote on this as a approval of a presentation to the council, or?
No, I don't think so. I think that there had been some discussion at the last meeting about a possible letter. And so that's where that action needed to come in, if we wanted to instead do a letter. So in this case, no, I don't, unless we're hearing some significant opposition to presenting this material to council, we don't need to have an official action.
Right. And I think we did do a letter, right, Lorena?
Russ, I did create a template for you, and I believe that you did pass that on to the city. And so I will just go ahead and have that material available. I can send that to you today, Stacy, if you'd like. Forgive me if I'm a little out of the loop on official processes. So happy to provide that letter of support and recommendation from the CIL that Russ and I had worked on several months back.
Yeah, because I don't think that one has been sent to the council quite yet. So if we have that one, we can include that for approval. Or we could present it, frankly, at the meeting on the 8th.
Happy to provide that.
And looking back in my minutes, I think that was like from April and May, we actually approved the letter that the commission did.
Maybe it did get sent.
Yeah, maybe.
I believe you're right on that, yeah.
I will go back and look. I know I've sent a handful of things to the council that have been approved, so it's quite possible that that's just, I'm getting a couple of different things mixed up there. But I do think it would be important to include that in the materials that are presented on the 8th.
Sounds like a good plan, right, everyone? And Lorena, thanks for your work on that. Rachel, thanks for representing our commission at the council. We know that there is a huge need for wave on-demand wave, and it's just hard to get. But thanks for your work on it, folks.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, next up, our next action item is the appointment of a chair and a vice chair for the upcoming year. And before we start on that discussion, I would just like to thank you all for choosing me as your chair for the last year. I've enjoyed the opportunity. I've mostly enjoyed the opportunity to advocate for folks in our community with disabilities in a different way. I'm also letting you know that I do believe that new leadership is always kind of a good thing. So I do not want to be the chair next year. But with that, I will open the nominations for anyone who would like to nominate someone to be the chair for our next year.
Is it typical practice that the current vice chair would become the chair?
You know, we really haven't done that necessarily in the past. I don't know. I don't remember, honestly.
I can share just from my experience with other commissions that typically that does not happen. Now, does it happen organically in that somebody would nominate the current vice chair to be the chair? Absolutely, but there's not been any sort of like succession, if you will, that I have experienced on a number of different commissions. It's basically just a new year every year with a chair and vice chair.
Thank you for that. Well, with that said, I would actually like to recommend Rachel to be the chair if Rachel is interested.
I am 100% ready. Thank you, Susan.
And I would like to second that nomination of Rachel. Are there other nominations? Not seeing any, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of Rachel Simakanda being chosen as chair of our commission for the next year, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposition or abstention from that? I was glad there was no opposition from that. But the motion to elect Rachel as our chair for next year has passed unanimously. Congratulations on that, Rachel. I think congratulations on that. But
Well, you will still be my teacher. After 32 years, you will still be my teacher, so I appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you for reminding everyone how old I am. Thank you for that, Rachel. But that's quite all right.
You're 32. That's impressive.
And I was 10 when I was teaching her. So there you go. But, okay, so now that Rachel is not going to be our vice chair and she is going to be our chair, we need to have an appointment of a vice chair as well. So I will open the floor to nominations of a vice chair.
So I would like to nominate Susan if she's up for the job.
And Susan, do you accept that nomination?
I'm a little hesitant based on my workload. Can I have some time to think about that or no?
You mean like
I wasn't
minute,
expecting this conversation until I saw the agenda, so.
Susan, I have to tell you, based upon our last year, the chair does all the work. The vice chair doesn't do anything. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
Russ, it would be appropriate that if Susan wanted to take some time to think about that, and if there wasn't any other interest in that position, that we could revisit the vice chair next month.
Good point,
Yes,
Stacy.
appropriate if that's the desire of the commission.
So Susan, you would like to take like a month to think about it, or?
I would like to take that time. I'm trying to get some things off my plate, and if I'm successful in doing that, then I would be able to step into that vice chair position.
Sounds good. Are there any other folks who want to nominate someone other than Susan for the vice chair position? Okay, so for now, we're going to close those nominations and we're going to let Susan and Rachel or Stacy, I'm going to go ahead and second the nomination for Susan, but we're going to hold off on action on that until next month. How does that sound?
That we can make that work.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And then Susan, if you tell us that you do have too much on your plate, then we'll open the floor up for nominations for vice chair next month, and hopefully someone will get nominated other than Susan. So. Okay, and congratulations, Rachel, on I think on being appointed as the chair.
Thank you.
Mayor Daggett, are you still with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can. Do you have anything to update to commission about with regards to the mayor spot?
No, I reported it during the disability resource fair discussion.
Right. And then I know you had a really enlightening meeting last week with a couple of the commissioners, right?
I did. I did. Our brilliant commissioners. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. That would be with Rachel and with yours truly. And I'm going to go ahead and use this time to also do kind of an update for me as a commissioner. And Rachel, you can kind of join in here too. We did talk with the mayor and had kind of a nice long talk with the mayor. And I think one of the things that came out of that discussion is that we would like to have a meeting set up with the mayor and members of the commission, and then perhaps a representative of the city manager's office and some of the department heads from the various departments to kind of talk about accessibility and meeting the needs of the people in our community. Would I be right in reporting it as such, Rachel and Mayor?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mayor. And I think Sean Johnson is going to be setting that up for us, right?
Yes. Sean is my what do you call it? My exterior hard drive. And so keeps a lot of knowledge in him. So yes, I will talk to him about this.
Excellent. And I think we talked about, we would like to have the meeting occur probably before the end of before the end of 2024, right?
Yes.
So, and we'll be checking back with you on that, Mayor. So
That is good. You need to check back with me.
excellent. But and Mayor, thanks for meeting with Rachel and I. You know, I know you got a busy day and all that kind of stuff, and it was a good meeting. It really was a good meeting. And
Yeah, it's my pleasure. You know that this is near and dear to my heart.
and you are a good ally, and we appreciate that too. We truly do. So thank you.
And
Thank you.
for those of you who don't know, Mayor Daggett is 100% just like Martin Ince, an ally for this commission. Like she will fight hard for us, just like Martin has done. So we cherish city employees that love our commission, and we will take care of you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mayor. And Lorena, I think we got your update, right? So I think we're good there.
Yep, she had to leave actually.
Sounds good. Joseph, real quickly, do you have anything to update us with regards to what's going on with the youth part of our city?
Do you have any notes for me? Because I totally forgot to fill out some notes.
Yeah, that's fine, Joseph. The community of practice transition team met on yesterday, and
Yesterday they did, yes.
we learned that Flag High School is hosting a college and career fair on October 9th, which is kind of, we were glad to hear of that, and that there's planning already begun for an employment fair at Coconino High School that would be sometime in the spring. And then sometime in March, we're thinking there will be a focus on the future event at Coconino Community College. The focus on the future event is where high school students go over to the community college and they meet with the disability resource folks and some of the other programs to kind of learn about what it's like to be at the community college and actually how to access services at the community college. And that's going to be sometime in March. I don't think the date has been set for that yet, but got you covered there, Joseph?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything other than that I'm actually going to win it all. I hope.
Sure.
I hope.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Joseph. Yeah, and the Cardinals too, right? So, all right.
Not
all
the
right.
Bills either.
All right, got to move on though, Joseph. Got to move on. Jamie's not with us today, or are you, Jamie?
Jamie is not with us. The only thing that the two of us will make it super sweet and short. I'm working on getting on the committee at the police department for all sorts of things. It will be one person from probably each commission or something like that, but I'm waiting to hear back on that. Jamie and I had a really quick short meeting with code compliance, and we are working on making things work better and more cohesive. I'll bring more about that, or Jamie will, next month.
Excellent. And thank you for that, Rachel. And you know, for one or two of us, that's kind of a high priority on the commission. So thank you for that, Rachel.
For sure.
Okay. Do any other commissioners have anything else that we should be updated on? Stacy, I'm going to ask you, how about any updates as far as things going on as our staff liaison?
I don't have anything new to add to today's meeting. Thank you.
And have you checked to see if the city website is up and working?
I am looking into that one. I know that the reporting function that we talked about, I believe last month, the recommendation from code enforcement is to continue to, reach out to them directly via email. Again, the tool that we have is not meeting all of the needs, but we're working through some of those pieces. So I hope to have more information on it and an update next month.
Stacy, is
Excellent.
it possible to put that on as an agenda item and then so all of the commissioners can look at it together?
The new tools I'm referencing?
Yeah, I'd like to have all of the commissioners look at that so that we can give some feedback. You know, we've got a commissioner that has someone that is visually disabled. And so I'd like to have them look at that and in all aspects, look at that and then
Sure.
give recommendations.
Sure. I don't think it's quite ready for prime time yet. If it is, for next month, we'll include that. If not, we'll keep it slated for when it is ready.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
And then Stacy, were you checking too on the silver sneakers and the renew active participation?
Yep.
Stuff?
Yep. I don't have an update yet, but yes, working through that. We've had some transition in our HR team, so I need to make sure that we've given them some time to get their feet on the ground, and then we'll get some more information on that.
Understand. And again, that's in the interest of accessibility, right? And
Absolutely.
all that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
thank you,
It's a good
Stacy.
program.
Okay. These are the things I have listed for our next meeting. And then, of course, Rachel, as the chair, you and Stacy work together to kind of firm up the agenda, right? But approval of minutes from previous meetings. And then I think we're going to have Corey Voigt from HR come in and talk to us. Yes, Stacy?
She's a tentative right now, but that is slated for discussion.
And then I think Sarah Dechter from the Flagstaff Regional Plan.
Yep.
And some maybe introductory discussion about our spring recognition event.
Yep.
And then I think, Rachel, Sean Connolly from FPD is supposed to come, right?
I believe that he said either here or Sergeant Rentala would be here. I'll check in with him though. And Stacy, would you also help me with that?
Yep, I have them on our working calendar.
Thank you.
And then are there any other items that members of the commission think should be on the agenda for the next meeting?
I did have a request this morning. I need to go back to where I wrote my notes at, and Stacy, I will let you know what that was because I honestly don't remember.
Sure.
Okay, well, I think that's it for us today. And I'm going to thank you all for your attendance and for your ideas and for all your work with the commission. I think our work, and I mean all of us, I think our work together does make the world a better place for our folks with disabilities in our community. So thank you for that. And I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 1:04.
And then Stacy and Russ, I just need like 1 single minute.
Yep.
All right, thank you all.
Bye.
1:04
I
is not
hope to
bad.
see you October 5th.
October 5th, right.
October 5th.
And I'm not going to get a ticket if I park over there in